We have in this past year made great progress in ending the long era of conflict and Cold War. We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Within the Tomorrowland concept, we will look into possible updates and links of developments within its infrastructure, in which many of its manifestations will be propelled by a worldwide modern wireless communication and computer network, grounded within high developed smart cities, the Starlink space network, and of course the public channeling of the parasite. Cause the show must go on. Within this wireless network system, we will focus mainly on the 4G LTE MIMO. LTE stands for Long-Term Evolution, and the 5G NR New Radio Massive MIMO antennas, as these systems can use the latest MIMO beamforming technology. in which I think these systems are a key tool into X-beaming and radiating our hard torus field, reshaping and aligning it onto the parasitic field. MIMO stands for multiple input, multiple output. MIMO is an antenna technology that improves the radio link by using multiple antennas in an area through multiple and different paths, over which signals travel from the transmitter to the receiver, primarily as a result of the many reflections that the signal undergoes and the many paths over which it can travel. The multiple paths are decorrelated, and this provides opportunity to send multiple data streams over them, enable signals to be separated, improving the data throughput, and to noise ration, thereby improving system performance. When we use polarization MIMO in 5G systems, the diversity for each layer beams in spatial multiplexing transmissions, so each layer of beams, won't interfere as they are cross-polarized, DX beams. The advantage of a MIMO network over a regular one is that it can multiply the capacity of a wireless connection without requiring more radiation spectrum, as its power lies in concentrated electromagnetic beams, instead of emitting a larger radiation field. The more antennas the transmitter receiver is equipped with, the more the possible signal paths and the better the performance in terms of data rate and link reliability. The current 4G LTE system operates with more than 50 frequency bands, which are below 3.6 GHz range. The unlicensed spectrum below 6 GHz will be used for first-generation 5G networks. The rollout of these systems have begun in 2019 and are ongoing. The network is currently preparing the installation of the 3.5 microwave GHz frequency, which will be going live in 2022. As it is a new modulated frequency on worldwide mass scale, we will need to prepare for the next shock wave it will create within our electromagnetic field. This new wave of electromagnetic pollution will hit our society after several months of onlining the 3.5 GHz network. Cymatics is the study of sound and vibration, made visible through a medium, such as water in a dish, or a gluttony plate. A flat metal plate on which a medium such as salt is placed, with a speaker underneath. As the frequencies delivered through the speakers change, the geometric shapes produced by the frequencies also change. The higher the frequencies, the more complex the geometry produced. If you take some time to study this, you might conclude that the sound current underlies all of creation.
All these accidents that happen, follow the dot. Coincidence makes sense only with you. You don't have to speak, I feel emotional landscapes. They pass on me, the little red salt, and you push me up to this state of
So going into 2021, we have dozens of electromagnetic charged and modulated frequencies emitting through towers everywhere. It's an electromagnetic disco wave of 24/7 in which our energetic bioelectric body, consisting of 70% water, making it a superconductor for electromagnetic charge frequencies, is partying non-stop. But it is also an environment which was not present like this ever before. This change in terrain will have consequences for our physical matter and well-being. To develop from the basic MIMO used in 4G LTE to the 5G massive MIMO format, it is possible to increase the number of antenna elements. For example, using 64-crossed polarized antennas means that the base station can be defined as a massive MIMO system. Using this large number of elements enables the 5G MIMO antenna to provide MIMO and beamforming capabilities. In the next 10 years, yes, the clouds count down, we can expect an immense change in our electromagnetic field. Within the next 2 years, expect dozens of MIMO antennas to pop up in every street and neighborhood, connecting our society through an Xbox electromagnetic beamed field within every square meter of its placement, increasing the density of the field and probably also radiation in watts and voltage per square meter. What is notable is the basic setup for a MIMO beam radiation field, in which the resemblance of the pillars of Hercules can be seen energizing the inner X pattern beams. Our streets will be electronically magnetized with centered tetrahedrons using polarized electromagnetic X-beams, which can energize the Christ consciousness or the Eye of Ra in the center of the field, represented by the Chi Rho, or should we say the Chi Rho. Is this the definition of our Chi life force energy being Xboxed and drained by the parasites Eye of Ra energy field? The second generation of the 5G network will probably align in a time period of 2024 up to 2030, and where it's possible of having every house and street light emitting high frequency, highly millimeter microwave radiation on cellular level, up to 28 GHz or even 60 GHz. Also in this time lapse, new frequencies will cause several shockwaves to spread across our electromagnetic field. This will impact our society. With MIMO, and in this instance, massive MIMO, having so many permutations and different conditions, it becomes very difficult to test. There is actually no definition of where the line is drawn between an ordinary MIMO system and a massive MIMO one. Typically it tends to be applied to systems with a number of tens of antennas or more. 5G massive MIMO antennas with 64, 96 and even 128 antenna systems are available. Where have we seen this sequence before?
The 64 tetrahedron grid kind of bloomed in to a whole new understanding of the structure of the vacuum. It was exactly what I needed. It had an equilibrium at the center that was actually surrounded by another equilibrium. And you could visualize this structure growing in perfect fractal octaves from infinitely big to infinitely small. It could be built out of 8 star tetrahedron, each made out of 8 tetrahedron each. The 8 star tetrahedron coming together produce the 64 tetrahedron grid. 8 star tetrahedron are built by 8 tetrahedron, have their tetrahedron pointing out, radiating out. And when they come together, they produce the vector equilibrium in the middle, which is a tetrahedron pointing in. So I had now both of the side of the event horizon that produced the boundary condition. The radiative side and the contractive side of the event horizon. So I split them in two, and then I slid the bottom part into the top part. Match the lines to generate the star tetrahedron. I would have 8 star tetrahedrons coming together to generate the 64 tetrahedron grid.
The 64 tetrahedron. You could fit Metatron's cube in it, or the double Solomon star the Atlanteans are using to terraform our crater. So you could put the 64 tetrahedron on our crater. The first Solomon star within the center Solomon, Jerusalem. The second one, the third one, and that fits into the 64 tetrahedron.
Yes, we have the 64 tetrahedron energy field, or power grid of the parasite, being energized within our crater, and where its host, probably all bioelectrical life systems of crater Earth, are forced into energizing its field. Watching the research of Nassim Haramein and Godgevlamste, it is notable to see that this field radiates energy out and contracts energy in. With the install of the massive MIMO antenna system, an energy grid is being manifested that is energizing both currents, in which this field gains more density and extraction force with 256-bit and higher force fields, able to target electromagnetic currents on cellular level in order to extract our Chi life force into a Chi Rho energizing force to fuel the tetrahedron field of the parasite. Within the wide spectrum of the 2, 3 and 4G radiation field, with focus on the radiating element, probably all its frequencies form a radiating pattern that is aligned with the 64 tetrahedron field. By time, with programming and upgrading, these frequencies emitting electromagnetic pulses that probably try to blend in within our energetic protective biofield, calibrating our window resonance within our bioelectric body cells, which have antenna-like receptors on cell membranes that respond to vibrational frequencies, the primary cilium, able to decode the field's algorithms in a uniform way. The antennas on these energy receptors vibrate like tuning forks. If an energy vibration in the environment resonates with a receptor's antenna, it will alter the protein's charge, causing the receptor to change shape. Biological behavior can be controlled by invisible forces, as these receptors can read energy fields. I see this process of radiating humans as a pre-programming towards Tomorrowland, over time, of our 666 carbon avatar through epigenetic signaling. It is also notable to see the resemblance of the primary cilium with fuel rods, energizing itself with electromagnetic energy. Compare this analyze with the parasidic skyscrapers of Tomorrowland skyline, having these huge and high buildings able to act like an antenna receptor of our crater, able to harvest the contractive energy of the Chi Rho onto the 64-bit tetrahedron field of the parasite. Massive beam forming, on the other hand, narrows the spectrum of the radiation field into a small bundle of electromagnetic beams directly aiming for electronic devices, but probably it can also target your bioelectric body, able to penetrate and bypassing the biofield, and X-beaming electromagnetic pulses directly onto cells, penetrating tissue, and where pattern information can be directly uploaded into the translation process within a possible compromised mRNA chain within the cell nucleus by using injected modified enzymes. The bioelectric body cells have their own enzymes, like ribosomes, that catalyze the synthesis of proteins from mRNA in the process of translation. Ribosomes exist freely in the cell cytoplasm, or remain attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. Translation is the synthesis of proteins from mRNA involving ribosomes and other proteins. RNA polymerase II is an enzyme composed of many proteins that reads DNA and synthesizes RNA in the cell nucleus in a process called transcription. Some of the vaccines used to combat the current pandemic are loaded with messenger RNA instructions. Once these penetrated the cell's membrane, these will instruct the cell to produce a harmless piece of what is called the spike protein. The spike protein is found on the surface of the virus that causes COVID-19, according to CDC. So the idea to inject messenger RNA codes is not science fiction at all. Our society is experiencing this process now. Messenger RNA is the temporary set of instructions for cells to make a protein. Messenger RNA is made using or reading DNA. So imagine a technology of modified enzymes that can link within these cells' own enzymes, enabled to down or upload pattern information through electromagnetic energy directly onto messenger RNA on even cells' DNA, controlling the transcription process. The massive beamforming technology could be a very attractive tool for that job. Its focus beam of microwave pulses could penetrate the bioelectrical body's tissue. So once the final link is set, options for modification can be available for remote control to reprogram and alternate proteins that can change the biological structure of living organisms. One of these options can be the alternation of our original heart's torus field, able to relink our biofields onto the parasitic electromagnetic energy field, in which the latter then can contract energy for energizing their force field, as our bioelectric bodies are portable electronic devices, able of calibrating onto different frequencies and generating volts and energy. It's the perfect power source for harvest this kind of energy. Why not just using electricity, nuclear or any other power source? I think our Creator's biofield is a collective organism which has manifestating powers through consciousness. When one would alternate his field, one would have to use that same power source through using its consciousness to power manifestations, and that would leave us as the strongest power source that can be linked to the Creator's biosphere. Only through our free will the parasite can manifest its siege on our Creator biosphere. We represent our biosphere. We are the host. As long the parasite has not fully terraformed this world, it will need us to catalyze its projects. It needs all of us free-willing to ride on the roller coaster for Tomorrowland. If you would skip the ride, your biofield probably will interfere or even jam the process of calibrating their field. Hence, our governments are so keen in convincing us to join their roller coaster ride of Tomorrowland. And slogans like
"We are all in this together." It's really important to remember that we are all in this together.
We're all in this together.
We're all in this together.
We are all in this together.
And we will get through this as we always do.
One love, y'all. Peace.
We will build more effective and inclusive solutions for the emergency of today and the recovery for tomorrow.
I want you here to focus on the color scheme. We're all in this together. Or, the only way out is together. The only way in and out. All through multiple input and multiple output. The MIMO, the crossover to Tomorrowland. I thank you all for being part of tomorrow. We are leaving together. My question to you, what roller coaster you'll be on?
This is an important initiative, and I encourage other governments to join in as well. We need to work together, and not just on vaccines. Canada believes that a strong, coordinated response across the world and across sectors is essential. This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset.
I think it's all, I don't have too many remedies. The remedies have to be discussed through dialogue by the stakeholders of our global system, but I just see the need for such a dialogue, and I see the need for action. I see the need for a great reset. Why not to make sure that we revolutionize, digitalize particularly our educational system? So we are here, when we talk about the Great Reset, to talk also about innovation. How can we do things differently from what we used to do? And if we speak about differently, to accelerate, let's say, our transition into a green economy, to accelerate, let's say, our transition.
2017, we're joined by Gunther Odendorfer. He's Chief Operating Officer for Technology at Sprint. Next to him is Nishant Batra. He's Head of Network Infrastructure at Ericsson. Big announcement coming later today on Massive MIMO, a US trial. Gunther, can you tell us a little bit more about that big announcement?
Yes, we are very excited to announce today, together with our partner Ericsson, that we did the first US trial of Massive MIMO in our network. We did that in downtown Seattle. Massive MIMO means massive input, massive output, and it's very important for the capacity of the networks in the future. With Massive MIMO, we have the ability to surgically increase the capacity of our network in the spots where our customers most need it. And with that, our network will certainly have the ability to transfer huge amounts of data today and in the future. You ain't seen nothing yet.